Today we're going to take a look at the Geofence functionality within the Nova MyWatch platform. Geofences are used in conjunction with items being tracked in a particular group to generate alerts based on the conditions of the geofence. We'll start by clicking on the Geofence tab, and here we've got some geofences already created that we'll take a look at. You can see that these geofences are not shown on the map currently, but we can draw one geofence or all the geofences by selecting them and clicking draw on the bottom left side. And you can see that the geofences have been drawn on the map, different shapes and sizes. We'll zoom in on this smaller geofence and take a look at that one. You can see that you can click clear and it'll clear any of the geofences that you have drawn. And now we'll go over to the Create Geofence tab, and we can create circle geofences, polygon, and route geofences. We'll take a look at each one. They all have very similar settings to the others. We'll start with a circular geofence, and we'll create a circular geofence around this golf course. There we clicked the center point and the outside edge of the circle to draw the geofence. And we could also adjust the size to put in a specific size from the center point out to the edge to fully define it. We can then save the geofence, and this allows us to put in a name, give the geofence a description, and this will make it easier for you to identify or distinguish between the different geofences that you've created. We could also pick an image to associate with the geofence. You can use one of the standard images or upload images into the platform that you would like to use. We can also adjust the color of the fill and the border independent to create some differences between geofences on our map. With the circle, we can also create multiple geofences, and this would be a distance from the center point, the original center point, out to each edge of the ring for each circle as it moves away from the center. So our first one's 0.46, second's 0.6, and the last one will be 1 full mile from the center. Geofences are assigned based on group and the items in the group, so we must select a group for the geofence to be assigned to. Then we associate that geofence to items in the group, and we determine what action we want it to take. So for example, an item entering and exiting the geofences would be both, and we may want to generate alert for that. We can also say how long we want the item to be in or out of the geofence before it sends the alert. We can also put in a speed. For example, if it was a school zone and we wanted to have alerts sent to us based on an item traveling over 25 miles an hour Monday through Friday between the hours that the school would be operating, that's how we can determine some of the details of the use of the geofence. Here we'll step back and take a look at the View tab, and you'll see those 3 different circular geofences that were created. We can select each one, again, draw, and we'll see those showing up on the screen. When you click on a geofence with the left mouse button, you can see details about that geofence on the screen, including the area. From this View menu, we can also delete a geofence by clicking the X with the left mouse button. And as we talked about before, we can edit by clicking the pencil icon to edit a geofence, and that brings up all the same information we defined as we created it. Let's take a look at the polygon geofence. The polygon geofence is utilizing a line tool to outline the shape of an area to be defined as a geofence. Whereas in the circle, we were limited to a basic circular shape. Here, we can just click with the left mouse button on the map and outline an area. If you happen to make a mistake, you can click the undo button and it will step back through, and then you can continue to click on the map and it will continue to draw out the shape. when you're done, you just click with your left icon on the start point, and that will finish out the polygon geofence. When we save it, all the same options with the exception of create multiple circles will be there for the circle, polygon, and route geofences. Here on the route, we could also use information about an address. I'm going to put in a zip code, and that'll take us to a location that we want to define a route around. Routes are used for defining a path of travel that a vehicle may take, and we would just go through and trace that route out on the screen. And this could be used for situations where a vehicle needs to stay on a route, or you may want to make sure a vehicle does not get onto a route, and so you would utilize the route to create a geofence to give you alerts based on that. If you want the situation of an item reporting whether it's on or off the route, you do have to be careful to draw the route accurately so that it's close to, if not exactly on top of the route that you're trying to define. We can use a buffer of putting in a distance off the route, left or right, to control as a buffer zone. You see we have all the same settings in, out, and both. You can define those speed limits, times a day, days of the week as well. Here for this, we'll remove that speed and we'll just save it for all the time. When we go back to view, you'll see that that route is listed. Again, we can select it with the left mouse button and click draw. And here we see the route on the map with our label in the center of that route geofence. As a standard, we typically have auto-assign geofences on, so when you create a geofence, it auto-assigns them to a group. But here, you could assign geofences manually by clicking the Assign Geofence tab, selecting a group or leaving that blank, and searching for an item that you'd like to assign a geofence to. We can view or edit by clicking on the left mouse button on an item, see the geofences that are associated with it, and select an available geofence based on the group that that item is in to assign additional geofences to that item. This is also a way to manage the geofences associated with items, to be able to click on an item, view it, and go in and check the assignments. Here we'll click Assign Schedules. You'll see we have the exact same options as we had before when we created the geofences, and all of those capabilities are there for you. Lastly, we can create a geofence based on a route that a vehicle may have traveled that is shown in the history through the tracking. So if we know that we've got a particular vehicle that traveled a particular route on a specific day and time, we could go to the Tracking tab with our left mouse button, click on the Tracking tab, go into and look at the group that we want to view based on the item we know traveled that route. Click on the History tab and select the time frame that we know the vehicle traveled the route. Click the search icon and select the item that we want to view. This works based on time, so I'd want to take a look at the points that are between the specific times that the vehicle would have traveled the route. We would then find the time and point, that is the start, right mouse click on it, and that brings up the details about that item. Click with the left mouse button on the Geofences tab and select Route Geofence. This allows us to do all the same things that we did before when creating new geofences, including assigning a buffer. Here's the time area where we have to say from start to end time, and it's going to create a route geofence from the beginning to the end time that we have defined here in the history time frame. This completes the look at geofences. Please see our other videos for additional training topics.